Hello there, friends. Welcome to Casual Day with Miss M. I thought it could be fun to switch it up and basically show the dress code of COVID-19. But today I want to do a very quick little video that highlights some of the strategies that I talk about regularly with my teachers that I work with other speech therapists, on all these videos that I do. That help me in speech therapy when I'm working with children on anything. So anything from speech sounds to joint attention, play-based activities, pre-literacy kinds of things. All of these strategies are kind of ingrained in a lot of what we do as speech pathologists, but I think sometimes those little things get lost. So these are really great ways to kind of remember to do things that keep the fun going, that are repetitive, so that way skills are really sinking in to keep our students making progress on their goals. So the first one I'm going to go over is probably my favorite one and probably my most talked about. This is the OWL plus R strategy. I don't know if you can see that. So the O stands for observe, and when we're observing, this is when we're taking time to just watch what our child or what our client or what our student is doing. We are at the child's level, so remember you want to be face to face, always, especially, when you have our little preschoolers that maybe you're not going to be sitting at a therapy table with, you're going to be on the floor playing, you want to be at their level. And then you want to follow their lead. So in the observing process, you're watching them to see what they're going for. If you're doing an assessment and you have multiple toys out so that way you can start building that rapport, you just watch what they go for. Maybe they go for the elephant stuffed animal, maybe they go for the train, and then part of this observing too is letting the child know they're heard. So you're sitting back, you're with them, you're again face to face and engaged, and you're letting them know that however they decide to communicate to you, you're listening. You're going to hear them. So the W, because we have OWL, if I can spell today. The W stands for wait. Now I was just talking with another speech therapist about this waiting time that we like to do. It could be awkward. It could be really awkward. And I talked about it before in other videos. If you watch my joint attention video, I try to do that awkward pause with you so you can really see how long it might be. Waiting, I say at least 5 seconds. So let's say you're working with a child and you prompt them and, you ask, I don't know, it's a yes or no question, right? Is your hair brown? Yes or no? You want to wait at least 5 seconds before giving them another prompt to respond to you. And when you're waiting, this is a great time for you to anticipate their response. Let them know with an animated look, be ready. Let them know it's their turn to respond to you. You want to give time, like I said, that 5 seconds, because you want to give them a chance to take a turn. It might take a little bit longer for them to read your cues, to process your information. So you want to give them that think time and time to respond. You also want to make sure you're waiting in a sense of giving time to explore and discover. So again, you have those toys out, you're watching what you're going to follow their lead with, whatever they choose. But then also, let's say they pick up the elephant toy. They need to touch and feel and look at it, I love this with Mr. Potato Head. If I bring out Mr. Potato Heads, I like giving them a chance to kind of look at all the pieces and explore what they are. Maybe even before I start vocalizing, giving them a chance to be independent. Because maybe they find an ear on the floor that goes to Mr. Potato Head. They're not sure what it is. And if I don't wait enough and just say, oh yeah, that's an ear, that takes away maybe their opportunity to hold it up and look expectantly at me. So things like that waiting is so key. And like I said, it could be so awkward. All right, the owl in owl, you guys. The L in owl stands for listen. So turn your listening ears on, right? you follow again when you're following the child's lead. The child is talking and the adult attends to the child. It's not a one-way street of you leading, or you talking and the child attending to you. There's that listening aspect, because you want to have respect for the child's expression, however that may be, right? If it's verbal, if it's gestural, if it's just facial, if it's if they're responding to the certain sensory needs because of the environment, anything, you're respectful of their expression. And you want to motivate them to continue the conversation. So that listening piece, again, I'm going to talk about this animated look, what we call an expectant look. You are motivating them to take that next turn. And when you feel heard, I mean, think about it just in life when you're in a conversation. When you feel heard and you're being truly listened to, don't you want to keep talking? Don't you want to keep sharing your perspective versus moving too fast on to the next thing or prompting too quickly to answer another question? If someone's prompting you too quickly, you maybe lose attention to what you wanted to say, or you're just not as motivated to say what you wanted to say and instead answer the person that's leading the conversation, or so to speak, right? So just think about it that way. It's kind of how I remember it, when we want to keep them motivated intrinsically. And then I always say owl plus R. So you'll see that if you look at this poster. R, it means to give a reason to communicate. And I love this because when you're doing something like that, it means that maybe you're changing up the activity. Maybe you're withholding so that way the child can request. So I love using this example, but it's just so appropriate to like everyday life. But like Cheerios or snacks that have multiple things, grapes, anything, where maybe you can withhold to get them to reach their hand out, or to sign want or more. So those kinds of things that get them to communicate versus you just giving them everything. Or another good example is if you're in your speech room or the playroom at your house, if all the toys are at their level that they can just access, then that's not necessarily giving them the chance to request what they want or to initiate a play activity with somebody else because they can go grab something, right? So it's really good to make sure that things maybe are in sight, especially for that object permanence, when you want to make sure they know what's available to them, that it's there, that they can access it if they request it. But so maybe it's high up so they can't reach it, or maybe it's, in one of the things I use is a plastic jar so you could see through it, but it's closed and it's hard to take that twist top off of the jar. And so they can see it, but they have to request open, or more ball or whatever it is. And that kind of goes along with saying, you want to adapt daily routines. So again, withholding those Cheerios, putting things at different levels so that way they have the ability to request, are all really helpful things.